of theology and homiletics in her native South Africa, Patricia's talks on resisting unjust laws were always riveting. Patricia was an admirable human being. As the principal of a school in South Africa, she was asked by a bishop to admit black children, an act that would run afoul of the ironclad laws of apartheid. She and her Dominican community planned for over a year and then watched happily as black and white children entered the school grounds together. But then, she said, the hair on the back of her neck rose up as she heard the boots of law enforcement marching towards her office. She was told to get rid of the black children or else. Patricia willingly chose the or else, and for refusing to obey an unjust law, Patricia and her sisters served time in jail. Many years later, Patricia decided to be ordained by the fledgling Roman Catholic women priest movement. The South African church lost their minds. How dare she break church law? Their ecclesiastical gloves came off, and they went after her with bared knuckles. Although she had been a Dominican for 45 years, her order was cowed by the hierarchy, and they expelled her. She left South Africa with no job, no money, no pension, and no prospects. She was 65 years old and had spent her entire life serving God. So, my friends, you might recognize that the law is a many-splendored thing, as well as a two-edged sword. It is beauty in the hands of the just and a terror in the hands of the unjust. We all know that God is described as delivering the commandments to Moses on Mount Sinai as part of the divine covenant with the Israelites. Believers were urged to actually write the law upon their hearts, to love it, and to teach it to their children. And it's important to remember that Jewish people like Jesus did not and do not find the law burdensome, but rather life-giving. The 5th chapter of Matthew, which we read today, is Midrash, or a commentary upon the commandments. In today's gospel, Jesus says that not only are we forbidden to kill, we should also not be angry. Not only are we forbidden to commit adultery, we are told not to look at our fellow human beings with lust. Just thinking of things against the commandments makes us liable to judgment. It was pretty scary, wasn't it? Why would Jesus say such really difficult things? Because he believed that the law was that important. So, of course, on the face of it, obeying the letter of the law makes complete sense. Laws are generally made for very good reasons. In the Mosaic society, people stole, so there needed to be rules against stealing. People murdered, so there needed to be laws against murder. Many people, as we know, will do anything to make money, even to the point of enslaving their sisters and brothers, stealing land from indigenous people, or bankrupting an entire nation. Some will sell tainted food or cosmetic products or drugs like thalidomide that cause birth defects, or oxycodone, which causes addiction. Some will dump toxic waste into rivers or pollute the air with great abandon. Thus, many laws and rules and regulations are good because they protect God's people from harm. So while the law presents problems to wrongdoers, it can also harm faithful law-abiders, as it harmed Patricia Friesen. Warnings abound. The 18th century writer Oliver Goldsmith observed that the law too often favors the rich, right? Tacitus and Cicero believed that too many laws lead to injustice. Edmund Burke wrote that bad laws are a form of tyranny. And Louis Brandeis said that a law must be respectable in order to earn the respect of the governed. C.S. Lewis wrote that society's pet virtues and mean-spirit insensibilities are enshrined into law. The purity commandments, for instance, actively harmed women throughout the centuries, as rape became the accepted form of male privilege or state-sponsored terrorism. In many parts of the world, including the United States, rape victims are still treated as if they were the ones who committed a crime. Many societies will protect the rapist and ignore the voices of the women. The Supreme Court of the United States has enacted slavery, Jim Crow, and racism into law during its 250 years of existence, while blithely ignoring the role that skin color played in the enslavement and disenfranchisement of millions of people. The current court believes that the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution permits race-based immigration policies. In the three faiths of the book, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, religion devolved into a privileged caste of men who levied laws from their comfy armchairs in a contrived ideal world far removed from the lives of ordinary men and women who actually had to work hard for their keep amidst some very trying circumstances. These men who made unholy alliances with the state to maintain the power of both parties made their extreme views about women, race, and class appear normal to their believers, who then acted as willing enforcers. Those who did not obey the law were marginalized, silenced, incarcerated, or even executed, as Jesus was. Thus, the law, like churches and every other institution everywhere, is fallen. What do the unjust laws of a fallen institution look like? Listen to theologian Walter Wink, the author of Engaging the Powers. A fallen institution speaks for God. It does not listen for God to speak. It invokes the sovereignty of God as its own. It misappropriates the language, symbols, and scriptures of Christianity. It does not seek God in order to change. It claims God in order to prevent change. Its God is not the impartial ruler of all nations, but a biased tribal God who is worshipped as an idol. Its metaphor is not a journey, but a fortress. Its symbol is not a cross, but a rod of iron. Its offer is not forgiveness, but victory. Its good news is not the unconditional love of enemies, but their final liquidation. It is blasphemous. It is idolatrous. But the good news, because there's always good news, is that the fallen powers with their unjust laws can always be redeemed. Poisoned water, polluted air, hungry or uneducated children, poorly paid workers who cannot live on their wages, people suffering and dying amidst plenty because they cannot afford health care, great wealth existing alongside great poverty, a violent campaign against those declared the enemy of the state reap bitter fruits, and this does not sit well with our loving God. There will be those who will continue to believe that justice is incidental to law and order, and that once all of the hatches have been battened down, those with the guns will finally get around to justice. There are those who believe that collateral damage in the pursuit of safety is not only reasonable, but also acceptable. And there are those who believe that compassion and mercy are useless in times of perceived danger. But the exercise of justice, mercy, and compassion is the law of God, the God who sent an itinerant, humble rabbi with one robe to delegitimate unjust legal systems. Jesus literally delivered a knockout blow to unjust laws when he overturned those tables. And that, my friends, is why he was executed. And so, what would Jesus do today? What would Jesus say today? Who would Jesus obey today? My friends, as Sirach wrote so long ago, before us is life and death, good and evil, and God never commands us to act unjustly in spite of the law. And so, what will you do? What will you say? Who will you obey? God or mere mortals?